few videos ago, I talked to you guys about how to be more productive when you work from home. And one of the things that I mentioned was to time batch and how that helps you get more things done. And in the comments, you guys were like, girl, I need more about this whole time batching thing. And it is such a lifesaver. It's such a big piece of the strategy when you are trying to get a lot of things done in a short amount of time that I felt like it needed its own video. So today we're gonna chat about how to get more done with time batching. Hey, howdy, hey, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jessica Stansberry, and I am pumped that you are here. If you're looking for tips and tricks on how to get more done every day, whether you're working from home, whether you're at an office, like whatever, this is the video for you. I think you're gonna love it. Also, you should know this is coming from somebody who is inherently disorganized. I'm not one of those people who's just exceptionally organized. And so when I really started building my business, I had little babies at home and I had to figure out how to fit a lot of tasks into a small amount of time. And this is when time batching really started happening for me, even though I didn't even know what it really was called or what I was doing, but now it actually is a thing and people teach it, and so here we are. Okay, so first and foremost, what really is time batching? Essentially, it's just batching like tasks together in a period of time. So time batching. Now, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. People use time batching in different ways. People use it in like a more structured way. Some people use it in a looser way, which is kind of what I do. But essentially, the act of batching tasks together that are similar in given periods of time is what time batching is. And the reason that it's so powerful is because our brains have a really hard time switching from task to task. So sometimes, if we're filming a video and then the next thing on our task list is to write an email, it may take our brains a little bit to kind of get in that mode. And so to be the most productive, you want to batch things together that kind of use the same part of your brain. So your brain doesn't have to, work so hard to switch back and forth. This is why you'll see a lot of people filming videos, multiple videos at a time. This is why you'll see a lot of people filming or recording a lot of podcast episodes at a time, or booking an Airbnb to go write their book. It's because once you get in a headspace, it's kind of easy to stay there, but it's hard to switch around. So time batching can be really key if you struggle with getting a lot of things done in a certain amount of time. There's a few different ways that you can time batch because, like I said, some people do it really strict and some people are a little more loose with it. And I think it really depends on how you prefer to work your calendar. For me, I really only like to see things on my Google Calendar that actually are things I have to show up at a certain time. I don't like to put things on my calendar that are not time-specific tasks. That's what I use ClickUp or my digital planner for. So if it's something that isn't happening at a specific time, I don't really want to see it on my calendar because if my calendar's really full, I get overwhelmed. Even if it's tasks that I know I could move or that I've put on my calendar myself, I still get kind of overwhelmed if I open up the day and it already looks like booked back to back. So for me, I don't do that, but let's talk about that option first. Essentially, the first option is, like I say, just to literally be strict with it and use your calendar to block off times. That would mean on your Google Calendar, you're gonna pull it up and you're going to say from 8 to 9, I'm going to do this thing. And from 9 to 10, I'm going to do that thing. And from 10 to 11, I'm going to do that. Or here's this 4-hour block of time, I'm going to record 3 videos or whatever that looks like for you and what you're planning. But it's specific to a time. And so when you wake up that morning, you know that by 8 a.m., you should be working on X, Y, or Z task. And for some people's brains, that probably works really, really, really well. But again, that overwhelms me. The other thing I will say that regardless of how you're going to do this, whichever way you're going to do it, it still needs to be like tasks bundled together. So if from 8 to 12 you're blocking off some time on your calendar, all of the tasks you do during that 8 to 12 period probably need to be similar tasks. Maybe it's all writing-based tasks or it's all video-based tasks. Just this morning, I sat down and I batch filmed like 5 or 6 videos that were welcome videos to my courses or promotional videos for something that I'm doing in the future. And that way I was in that headspace. I was there. I was in filming mode, I was in promotion mode, and I didn't have to switch around a lot. You generally need a little bit of time to context switch. So essentially, if you're blocking off your calendar from 8 to 12 and 8 to 9, you're going to write the emails that go in a sales sequence. 9 to 10, you're going to write your email for next week. 10 to 11, you're going to write this other email, whatever. Then once you kind of switch out of writing mode, you want to give yourself a little bit of time to make that switch. You shouldn't really expect yourself to be able to jump straight from writing a bunch of emails into something that's a completely different task and uses a different part of your brain. So that's one way to do it. Just block it off on the calendar. You can color coordinate it. You can do all the things. That is totally fine. The way I do this is that number one, I have days that are batched. So on Tuesdays, I know that Tuesdays are my call days. So if someone wants me to be on their podcast, that's the day I'm going to do that. If someone wants me or invites me to be a guest on a YouTube channel, that's the day I'm going to do that. If I need to have a call for a program that I'm hosting, it goes on Tuesdays. And that way I never have to think about what's happening on those days. I don't have to open up my calendar and be like, oh my gosh, I have 4 calls tomorrow. It's always just that Tuesdays are completely batched for those kinds of tasks. And if I run into a week where I don't have a lot of things going on a Tuesday, then I will, back up and punt and review what else needs to get done that week and put it in on that Tuesday. But for the most part, my Tuesdays are blocked off for calls. And so I'm never context switching on a Tuesday in general. And obviously those things are on my calendar at time-specific times because, again, they are happening, when they need to happen. But more specifically beyond Tuesdays, because I feel like that's a special case, throughout the rest of the week, the way I do this is instead of saying from 8 to 12, I'm going to do this thing, or from this time to this time, I'm going to do this thing, I plan out my week as far as what needs to get done. So I'll sit down on Sunday and I'll say, okay, what needs to get done this week? I need to film these videos. I need to record these podcast episodes. I need to do this thing. I need to do that thing. And then I take all the tasks that are similar. So again, all the tasks where I'm going to be filming a video, or all the tasks where I'm going to be, writing emails, or all the tasks where I need to, plan something out. I take all of those and I group them together. And then I plan throughout the week what that looks like. So this week, as I'm filming this, Monday was a big admin day for me. I planned things out in ClickUp. I kind of made sure that things were where they needed to be so that the rest of the week I could perform tasks, and I knew that I could give Laura the things that I needed to give her that were on my head or whatever. And then Tuesday this week, I took off because it was my birthday. But then today is a complete day of filming. And if I get done with filming, then I'll pull tasks from other days. If I want to stay and work a little bit longer, since I'm here in the studio with childcare, so that probably will happen. But tomorrow, I'm looking at my schedule for tomorrow, and it's all tasks that are in the realm of creating content, creating written content, and doing admin-y type website things. So tomorrow I'm gonna sit down and work on a sales page. I'm going to work on a webinar that I'm hosting this week, which actually, that's a great place for me to stop and tell you about a webinar I'm hosting this week. So I have been experimenting with Instagram Reels for a while now. What kind work, what you should be doing with hashtags, what basically is the best posting schedule, all of these things about Reels. And during the month of February, I spent the entire month posting a Reel every single day. And I have collected all of that data, and I'm literally going to host a Reels bootcamp where I'm going to teach you everything I learned from posting every single day. And I'm also going to tell you, what you should be doing, why it's so important for you to be using Reels if you're looking to grow on Instagram, and all the things. So if you want to show up to that, if you want to come hang out with me on the Reels Bootcamp, all you have to do is go to heyjessica.com/Reels Bootcamp. And I will also make sure that link is in the description below. But I'm going to be putting together the webinar for that tomorrow. As I'm filming this, it's the week before you'll see it. So I'm going to be putting together that webinar tomorrow. I'm going to be working on some sign-up pages for something else I'm doing later in the month. I'm going to be, doing some other like admin-y type tasks tomorrow. And so those are all batched together. And essentially, I also look at my calendar and I see, what are the time-specific things on my calendar and how much time do I have? So for instance, today, as I'm filming this, my kids had virtual school this morning, and then when they got done with virtual school, I took them to my parents' house so they could watch them. And so I only have the afternoon today to work. But tomorrow, they go to school in like the physical form, and so I have from, the morning to whatever time they need to be picked up to work. So it really kind of depends on the day on how much I put on my to-do list, but I'm always trying to batch things together that make sense. Because if I don't do that, then I end up spending way too much time context switching. And so we've got to figure out whatever works for us. Like I said, you can do it either of these ways. You can do it a different way. But nonetheless, if you have 2 hours to work, I know how that is, especially as an entrepreneur. You want to make sure that those 2 hours are spent actually getting the right things done and actually getting things done in general. And to do that, you really need to, know what you're going to be doing that day ahead of time. You need to plan that out, and you need to make sure that things are kind of working together and there's nothing that's just, like hurting you along the way. Now, one of the things I want to say before I wrap this video up is that when you start doing things like this, when you start calendar batching, calendar blocking, time batching, whatever you want to call it, you have to be really, really careful to not let things overflow into the time periods that you have blocked off, and to not overcommit or, not be strict with your boundaries. So for instance, Tuesdays are my call days. And obviously there's times when I will take calls or, do workshops or, be on somebody's podcast beyond a Tuesday, but it has to be really beneficial for me, and it has to be something where I'm okay with disrupting my pattern for the week. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I would love to have you on my podcast, and they send over a booking calendar and Tuesday is not available, we always go back to them and try and get it on a Tuesday first, because I'm very strict about that being my call day. Because if I'm not, then I have calls scattered throughout the whole week, and I can't context switch very easily from the mindset of being on the phone and actually doing tasks. So if you block off every Monday morning for your calls, or if you block off every Wednesday morning for you to go to the gym and, get a vitamin IV. I've never done that and I really want to. But anyway, if you block off the morning every week for that, and then you start letting things creep in because you're not strict with your boundaries, you're going to be like, oh, this didn't work for me. And I promise it works, but you have to be super strict with your boundaries, and you have to be okay with telling people no and saying, hey, this is not something I do during this time period. Can we switch it around? And again, sometimes it's, it doesn't matter, and we're all going to have things that we change up or do differently week to week. But for the most part, I want you to be super, super strict with your boundaries. Future Jessica here. I kind of forgot to say bye when I was filming that video that you just watched. So I just wanted to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you have any tips or tricks for time batching, for getting more done, whatever else that you might have some tips or tricks on. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to stay tuned for more awesomeness every single flippin' week. Bye, y'all.